day to day, but I get to come home and do this, right? So I'm gonna call my man Tennis, my boy out of Texas, right? We've been talking a lot. We crossed a little bit from mythology into comic books because comic books started it. Comic books started going to mythology for stories, and we're just here talking about how they leverage their stories. So give me 1 second. I'm gonna get my man online. So if you checked out last week, I went on. I talked a lot about Black Adam, and that opened up a lot of mythology for me because as I explained, Black Adam is heavily rooted in ancient mythology. Some cool stuff, and I got this all from my man Tennis. Hey, how you doing there, man?
Greetings. How you doing, man?
I'm good. I'm good. Let me get the volume straight here. Okay, just getting settled in, and just kind of warming everybody up. Letting them know what we're talking about today, and kind of referencing my video from last week, where I just kind of, caught a little bit of the spirit of the Black Adam spirit last week, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I was just talking about Black Adam, the new movies coming out, and you had mentioned, of course, Shazam.
Yes.
And Black Adam, if you don't know, is Shazam's primary foe. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. And so they've got a couple of movies coming out. One, obviously, the Black Adam has his own movie, which is rare for a villain to get its own movie. Right? I know Loki just got a series, but that doesn't happen too often. And Shazam's movie is also coming out.
Yes.
Now, okay, you want to give me the overview of the connection between Shazam and Black Adam, because not being an aficionado in DC comic books, I don't understand it fully.
Okay. I watched the Shazam show back in the 80s.
Okay.
And so that show talked about Shazam at that time, I believe, being Captain Marvel.
Yes. Okay, I remember that name.
Okay. So, and the acronym for Shazam, would be Solomon, Hercules, Atlas, Zeus, Achilles, and Mercury.
Okay.
This is the powers of Shazam.
Yes.
Okay, so in this particular TV series, I found it very interesting because, of course, Shazam is the good guy.
Right. Yeah, of course. He's a hero.
But he has all of the powers of Greek mythology.
Yes, all of them.
Okay. Well, the only one that's not Greek is Solomon.
Right, right.
That would mean that Solomon is actually of a Hebrew background.
Right.
Okay, biblical Solomon, stuff like that. And so, but all the rest of them, yes, are Greek, in Greek mythology.
Either Greek heroes or gods.
Correct.
Okay.
And so, I found it very interesting because of the background on some of them.
Mm-hmm.
For an example, Solomon lived in would be Israel at that time, or Jerusalem, or
right.
As we would know it. That part actually is that's a part of Africa.
Mm-hmm.
People are not familiar with that. Okay, so I found that to be interesting.
You said Jerusalem was in where?
Africa.
Africa, that place again. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. So there's many different discrepancies of probably what he looks like.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, he connected with the Queen of Sheba.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
And we know what she looked like.
Exactly.
At least for now, we know what she looks like.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of stories about that. But the bottom line is he was supposed to receive this great wisdom from the Solomon for this part of Shazam.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
But what I find interesting is Solomon is not a Greek god.
No. Wasn't related with any Greek mythology.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's what I found to be very interesting.
Yeah. Like, why would a writer reference Greek, and then pull something from the biblical account?
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. We're on a course there.
So the reason why I'm breaking this down is because I'm kind of want to set the stage on what this actually looks like.
Okay.
Now, I am a person that, when I'm looking at something and I'm reading it, I'm wondering, why would he be separate out of all the rest of them?
Right, yeah.
You see what I'm trying to say? And so the other two, Hercules and Achilles, these are both demigods.
Yes.
Okay, so I'm breaking this down and saying, okay, so of course, the great Achilles was in the story of Troy as we know it,
Mm-hmm.
but Achilles doesn't have a really good story,
No, he doesn't.
and he's included in Shazam.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm saying this is because he doesn't have a really good character.
Right. Shazam doesn't have really good character because of who he's made of. Wow, that's pretty good. I like that. Okay, I like that. Yes, that's Shazam's character. You're right.
Okay,
You're right.
The reason I'm saying this is because Achilles,
Yes.
in the story of the Trojan War, we know that he has this story where he, the kind of person that he was.
Mm-hmm.
We talked, previously he fought Memnon,
Yes.
but he was not a very good, noble person overall.
Mm-hmm.
Character. Now, he may have had some aspects of character,
Right.
but nothing like Memnon.
Right. Well, because even in the movie Troy, that representation does capture a Greek maiden or a Trojan maiden, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he keeps her in his tent the entire time. I can't remember what the actress's name is.
Yes.
And they twist the story to where they start to develop this relationship, but they always do that. They always try to make raping seem like, well, after you raped her, hey, you guys are kind of cool after that. So that was a story where they wanted to interject that character, but yet they still cleaned up or tried to clean up what it actually was. You captured a woman and you were using her while you were there. Let's stop pretending like you guys became friends and cared for each other. Okay. So I'm sorry to interrupt you with that. I had to inject.
No, that's and that was my thought exactly. I watched that movie a couple times.
Okay.
And to see that scene, I was wondering about this and why they included him in the Shazam acronym.
Right. Because so okay. Well, and the other part of it is, of course, I did a piece about Zeus and his history of rape.
Yeah.
I mean, it's pretty extensive. It's not just like a couple. Like, this is what he did. We always, and it's funny because they always preface Zeus by saying, well, he had a lot of conquests. But most of them were rape.
Yeah.
It wasn't like you were, Teddy Pendergrass and you were just wooing all these women. You were using tricks and magic. Like, what's the story of, what's the guy, man? He's one of the kings. And he comes home and Zeus has made himself look like the king to sleep with his wife. And now he's flying out the window.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Yeah. So that's who Zeus was as well. Very poor character. Right. Okay.
So I'm just, this is why I'm breaking this down and we're talking about it, but you can see where I'm going with this.
Yes.
So, but in the TV series, he's supposed to be the superhero.
Right.
So I'm trying to match that up.
Yeah. Very low morals hero.
Okay. So, we're not, and I'm not saying this as all I'm doing is breaking this apart and understanding these individuals individually.
Right. Yeah.
And
And
trying to understand how, was he to be a superhero where you have clearly who Achilles is.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And we talked about, Zeus a little, and then Solomon is not even in Greek mythology at all.
Right. They had to pull outside of that. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we can see where this is going.
Yes.
So I guess from my estimation of looking at all these, I have a big, huge question mark on my head about this.
Right. Okay.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Just based on how they did this. Now, again, I'm not, I'm not saying that, okay, we got to get something somewhere. So, I have to say, 90% of them is Greek mythology?
Absolutely.
Okay, so so we're looking at all that. Now, Black Adam is completely different.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, because Black Adam is all of the Egyptian deities or the Greek mythology, all of these have noble character.
Right.
Okay, now the Shazam acronym would be Shu,
Mm-hmm.
Hership,
Yes.
Amen,
Yes.
Zehuti,
Yes.
Anpu,
Mm-hmm.
and Menthu.
Yes. All of high caliber.
Very high caliber.
Yes.
All
Yes.
of them.
Here they were heroes.
Yes.
I mean, yes, they were scholars.
Yes.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
So, what does that say about the Shazam that we just talked about versus the one we're describing right now?
That, you know, we're in a twisted world, right? We're seeing. I mean, that's as hardcore as it gets. Is that you're right? The character makeup of Shazam is actually very foul. The character makeup of my man here, Black Adam, is a very high character, and he's the villain in the story.
In truth, people don't understand that Black Adam is not a villain.
Right. Right.
Okay, so because I mean, I looked at different stories. I've read about him. Of course, he's personified to be, as that. Of course,
Right.
But he's actually one to. If I was to look at Black Adam, as a character,
Mm-hmm.
right? I would see him. I mean, I know this is kind of a very interesting way of saying it, but how do you feel about him with a mentality like maybe like the Punisher or somebody?
Right.
What I'm saying,
Right.
he's not a bad guy necessarily.
Right. Right. He's not a bad guy necessarily.
Right.
But-
Because he does have character,
Right.
ability, but how he handles things, right, is not, something that a normal person would do.
Right. Right.
Okay. And the reason why I even brought that up is because I'm saying that just because a person does something a particular kind of way does not necessarily make them evil.
Right. Yeah.
So,
yeah.
okay, that's what I'm saying.
Okay.
And so, so all of these Egyptian mythology people are high caliber, noble, it's scholarly wisdom. I mean, to its highest.
Right.
That has a lot to say about Black Adam.
Does have a lot to say about Black Adam.
Has
It
a
does.
lot to say about him. Okay.
Well, okay, because that has to be an intentional move, right? Because that just lays out too easily. If you actually look at it, I mean, that's a level of a comic book character I don't think we ever really get that deep into, is like what their actual character is made up. And with each of these, because of how they work, and they're in the same world, who would position these two against? Because it's intentional that one draws on ancient Egyptian mythology and the other draws on Greek. So you are pitting these two belief systems against one another, it personified in these two.
Yes, and I would have to say, and looking at Black Adam, I have read many stories, and there's even animated stories and stuff. It takes Superman and Shazam to fight Black Adam.
Well, I got that image up. I got this the one you posted. You shot to me. I see them fighting together. Yeah, Superman. So they're basically jumping the brother. This is what I'm seeing going down here. He's getting jumped, and nobody's gonna jump in and stop, right? And he's just going toe to toe. Okay, all right, Superman. Okay. Yeah. You gonna bring your boy, huh?
You see what I'm trying to say?
Yeah. I know Batman sneaking around there somewhere trying to, plant some kind of trap. I know that.
Throw a sucker punch or throw a outside blow somewhere.
Yeah.
And this is what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
I'm saying, okay, so why don't they just let them go toe to toe, duke it out, and see what happens?
Yeah.
But you got the Man of Steel.
Yeah, like I'm supposed to be on your level, but I gotta go get the next toughest guy ever, Superman, to jump you. I mean that's a lot of respect there, man. That's a lot of respect there.
Yeah, and I guess and I have looked at both of these abilities from the Greek mythology side and of course the Egyptian side.
Right.
The powers of Black Adam is, it is to me, it is on a very higher level than the other side.
Right. I did look at his abilities. Yes.
Okay. And see, the powers of Mentu, it is, I mean, I am saying that is extremely, extremely high power.
Yes. Yes.
You are the protector of the gods.
Yes.
That says
That's
a
the most.
lot.
That has to be the most powerful force ever. If the gods got together and say, "Hey, look, we need you to protect us out here. It's dangerous out here."
Yes, and what people don't understand about Mentu is the one that holds the very powers of divine law.
Right.
When you hold the powers of divine law, we're talking about everything that's ever been created.
Right. It's meant to.
Yes, that is a lot of power.
Yes.
Okay, so that says, okay, and then you got, of course, Amen.
Yes. The hidden God.
I mean, that we're talking about something that's infinite.
Yes.
In everything that it is. So I looked at both sides of the deal. I see why Black Adam would be more powerful.
Oh yeah, absolutely. As I was once I got done reading it, I thought about it, and I get into some comic book lore, from time to time, and I'm like, man, there's no way Superman beats this guy. That was the first thing I thought, because they always hold Superman up as the standard bearer, right? Nobody can beat Superman. I'm just like, okay, this guy beats Superman.
Yes.
There's no way, everything included, all these powerful deities that they've gathered, there's no way one Kryptonian beats them.
Yes. When I'm looking at everything about Black Adam, do you see why I'm more on his side?
I'm completely on his side. I'm completely on Black Adam. Look, sometimes, he is perceived as the villain, but maybe it's something about him that still, I guess when your perceptions of representations are a little bit different, you're drawn to that. I understand that they try to use that to be villainous, but it's not necessarily that when you kind of, are looking at it a different way. Yeah,
and there's some issues, and I like to collect comic books, and so, I've been trying to find a comic book that has this type of information in it, and I can tell you right now that one of these particular issues that I've been looking at for a while is really expensive. Mm-hmm. Okay, so this particular cover of Shazam is the lowest I have found is over $300.
Okay, yeah, that's a little pricey there. Yeah.
Okay. And some people, because remember now, there are certain issues that are very, very limited.
Yeah, right.
There's only so many of them that have been printed. And up until this point, I've only found one issue that actually has the Egyptian deities in that comic book.
Okay, which one is this?
And this one is, this one particular issue is I think it's 30688, I'm sorry, of the comic book series that they actually had. So there's certain prints that Black Adam is in, mm-hmm. That actually has certain types of stories about him.
Okay.
This particular one is, like I said, there's over 300, and then there's more, or depends on who the person that's selling them. But
right.
These limited prints are extremely important. Why would that be? Because you're not going to find any other one,
right, with that representation
that has that information in it.
Right, right.
So that's critical.
Right.
Okay, so if you have a copy of that, consider yourself to be blessed.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, your collection's banging. Yes.
So I've been following the character, and I've been following what's going to happen next year. I've been following, all these things about Black Adam and all the things that I've heard about Black Adam. And, the more I read, the more I understand that what people are actually saying is probably not true in a lot of ways.
Right. Right. It's okay. Tell me if this, Because look, man, I'm that out of my crew of friends. I'm that guy who has conspiracies about everything. I don't know how it ended up being that way, right? But is there something to a consistent representation of Egyptian figures as evil? Because the thing I was going to mention was that whole series of I know this is laughable, but the Thundercats. I mean, people laugh at you when you say a comic book or a cartoon was putting out a message, but it was, right?
Yes.
Okay, so it's not just me. I'm not the only one that looked at the Thundercats and said, "Hey, why is Mum-Ra the evil one?"
I mean, why is Emotep, in the mummy
Right,
evil?
right. I mean, yeah, I did. I talked about. I call him my boy Emotep. I've talked about how Emotep got vilified in that story, and why would they do that? Why would they pick Emotep, who was probably one of the nicest guys around, and make him into this disloyal villain?
I'm still trying to understand why that is up until this very day.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay,
because if I want to do a movie about Egyptian mythology, I'm gonna pick a villain Set is right there. In what world do you not bring Set back as the villain? What story is better than that, where Set comes back and he wants to take over the world in modern times? He's already the villain character, and it probably fits with the mythology a whole lot better, or it does.
Yeah, that, in my opinion, would be a little bit more accurate, at least.
Right.
If you're talking about doing something. Well, here's the thing about, Set. Again, with Set being the way that he is, there's a story about him on why he does the things that he does.
Right.
Set, why did you do this to your brother?
Well,
why did you, want to trap him and kill him and all the things you wanted to do? And what's the whole objective to your your evil ways?
Yeah, they have anything to do with Neftis.
Exactly. And the more I understand him, the more I understand that there's a reason for everything.
Right.
And so, we're talking about, like, just like Black Adam, there's a reason for certain things.
Yeah.
And so we got to be able to understand. So is this necessary the bad guy? Okay, for an example, is Punisher the bad guy?
I mean, he's really not the bad guy. Okay. He's actually not the bad guy.
Okay. But you see what I mean? So we got to really look at it from a certain perspective and then saying, what are we truly really looking at here? Right? Yeah. So is the book and the movie, The Mummy, Emotep, is he evil? Well, we know that he's never been evil.
Right.
I mean, does anybody really even know who really truly Emotep is?
No, most people don't. So that well, and it's funny because mythology is still living. People forget about really what we're saying is how we as a civilization or culture express a belief. That's what mythology primary to me. A lot of it is. And it tells you about, you can learn as much about a civilization by the stories that they wrote, the movies that, was there famine, was there hunger, was there war? Those things will be reflected in the culture. Where they at prosperous times, you can get a lot of that information if you're looking at the details. So it will be interesting to look back, or when people look back at it, maybe 2,000 years from now, people will look at this shift in how Emotep was represented. And someone will figure out the reasoning or the source or what propelled it. And that would be a great conversation when we see that change. It's subtle, Thor going from being the redheaded Thor, who is a lot more brooding, to the blonde-haired party boy. That's actually kind of a huge shift as well in how Thor is going to be represented for the future.
Yeah, that would be a big shift change.
It is. It's a huge shift change. It's a huge shift change. I mean, we're going to get back. We're going to go back to our boy. But I was just going to say, I just watched one of the Marvel What Ifs, and they had a representation of Thor that was 100% the party boy. versus what, he was conceived of. It's interesting how some of these companies feel that they have that license, that they have that right to change something that really is very reflective of who Norse people were. The real Thor tells me more about Norse people than anything else. And sometimes, so that's my soapbox moment there. Anyway, let's get back to Shazam.
Yeah, I'm completely with you. I'm listening. I mean, yeah. I mean, when you really open the box of saying this is what Thor probably really looked like, people will be shocked on that.
Right. They probably wouldn't even like him.
But exactly. And they go, really? I thought we have this picture in their subconscious mind of what he always thought he looked like from everything that they probably have known, and seeing that as a shocker.
Right. Right.
Okay. So the Shazam series I'm talking about is volume 5 of number 28. Okay. This particular comic book was made in 1977. Okay. That says a lot about the time.
Yes.
Okay. How they saw this. Now remember, Shazam has been around for probably 75 years.
Okay.
Okay, that's a while.
That's a long time.
Okay, yes. So that's telling that, so what does that say about what we know of as far as, how powerful these characters are? It's been around for 75 years.
Yeah. That's staying power. That's a lasting power. Seinfeld was only on for 8 years?
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. I've known that even some, what was the other one? There was a TV show, I guess it was Spider-Man, when they had a TV show back in the mid-'80s or early 90s. I'm trying to think of the name of who that guy who played it. But it only lasted for so many seasons. And then it was over.
Spider-Man show.
Yes, not the animated series. Mm-hmm. It was actually
an actual live action Spider-Man. Okay, I never heard of that. Okay.
Yeah. So yes. These things I'll have to send to you, because when you watch it, you go, I never saw this.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, these are portals that have been open for a long time. The Incredible Hulk with Lou Ferrigno is an example.
Yes, I love that show. It was a great show.
Okay. Yeah. But you see what I mean? But you see how long that's been, though?
Yeah.
Okay. The Hulk is still around, but not in that form.
Right. Oh, yeah. Yeah, they've drastically changed the Hulk over these years. And it was kind of subtle, because I think, because it goes from generation to generation, the Hulk now is a completely different character. Completely different story.
Yes. You see, so the future of what something will look like will completely change, just as you mentioned about Thor.
Well, okay, go ahead. No, go ahead.
So be prepared for what's going to change to what, let me see, when you're 75.
Yeah. What they're going to be. Yeah.
Well, what a superhero is going to look like. Go right ahead. I'm sorry. I was just going to say that.
Well, okay. What I was getting at is I had a discussion with someone the other day, and I know this all sounds stupid, but it's right at the core of what we're talking about. And we were talking about representations of Batman. And this person, who I have great respect for, said that Michael Keaton was the greatest Batman. And I'm like, wait a minute. I like Michael Keaton as an actor. I can't accept his representation of Batman, because that's not what Batman was. So there's two ideas even of who Batman really was. There's two completely different representations of Batman, and they're not even compatible with one another.
Absolutely. Absolutely. The Batman now, in my opinion, should have been the Dark Knight a while ago.
Right, because that's actually the core of the story.
Yes.
Whatever. Michael Keaton is the best Batman.
Hey, this is a spaceship. You don't be coming up on my ship, getting in. You see, people still defending Michael Keaton.
But Michael Keaton is a good actor. I agree.
He's a great actor.
But we can't.
But he wasn't representative of the Dark Knight. And that's what I was trying to say. He was not that. That's that other Batman over there. Okay. That's
Right.
that's the Batman you guys like. Okay, this is our Batman over here. We're gonna watch him actually do some work.
'Cause I am for I am for the Dark Knight. I am for, in my opinion, what Batman would truly represent.
Right. Yes.
Right.
Yes.
If you're gonna put the fear into the criminal,
Yes.
you have to be the Dark Knight.
Yes. He repped it very well.
Yeah.
He became, even within that story, he became a modern myth.
Yes.
Right. So it was a very interesting, like, psychological thing that he developed in that character, so that is an interesting representation. How a myth changes very shortly over time, and all of a sudden you get a different story. You know, we see that typically in mythology when there's a regime change. That's typically when you see a character go from being a positive deity to now maybe you represent it as a demon, or someone who, horrible sacrifices were made to, or even in the case of the West African belief system, where they vilified what were positive spirits to now these blood sacrifice, whatever they are now that we see in representations.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And this is why I'm Black Adam is a very serious character.
Yes.
He's not a comical person.
Right.
He, his whole thing, is about what once was, right?
Yes.
So when he's released, right, from his so-called prison in this movie, that the clip that I saw at least,
mm-hmm.
It talks about how he wants to be able to regain what once was.
Mm-hmm.
People have no idea of what this is until he comes out. But Black Adam is a very serious guy.
Okay, wait. Are you telling me that this brother is just getting out of jail?
What I'm saying is, when the trailer,
mm-hmm.
look at the trailer.
Mm-hmm.
I was watching it, and so that is my perception of this trailer. Now, this is the only thing that I can think of, because where else would he be?
Why the guy had a brother getting out of jail, man? Why is that?
Okay,
I mean, I like Luke Cage too, man. But I'm like, man, why the brother got to be getting out of jail, man?
Yeah, he's. And so, and again, this is what my perception is of this trailer now, and I could be wrong, but when I'm looking at it, I've seen this trailer a few times.
Yeah.
And that is the same conclusion that I have.
Free brother, man. Free Black Adam, man.
Yeah, right.
I hope somebody put some money on his books. I hope he at least got that while he was locked up.
Well, I mean, Dwayne Johnson's going to do this, man, and he's a excellent, he's a phenomenal actor.
He's a great actor. I like Dwayne.
Yeah, so I'm really looking forward to what this is going to do.
Yeah.
But the stuff that I've seen as far as what Black Adam is, in my opinion, it should represent what the Egyptian mythology actually says about him.
Right.
Because all of the deities represents the balance of Ma'at.
Mm-hmm.
She's the very core of character.
Right.
So that would mean that
he is of the highest caliber.
Yes, the highest caliber of character.
Yes.
We're talking about higher than Memnon.
Right. Yeah, because as I read part of it, the contribution he's got from Mentu, I believe it talks about this harmonious aura about him. He has this confidence. He never wavers. He's, exceedingly brave. All these incredible attributes that make up the character of Black Adam.
Yes. So I am trying to find out, why would he be in any way
A villain.
Yes.
Yeah.
It is.
I mean, the only way this dude could have been getting out of jail is that he was at a protest rally. That had to be what it was. He was at a protest rally and got locked up for protest, and that's why he's just getting out of, because he wouldn't have done anything bad. That's not who he was.
No. I mean, you gotta think now. I've watched, I know this is kind of off topic a little bit, but I've watched a lot of Godzilla movies.
I love Godzilla movies.
Okay, Godzilla just, and so the Air Force has to go and get Godzilla because these creatures are just running rampant.
Right.
We got to get somebody who can match this.
Yes.
Now, you know what's going to happen when you wake up Godzilla.
Yes. Tokyo is done.
It's not going to be a pretty sight.
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
But we got to wake you.
Yes.
Now, when Godzilla wakes up, do you think he's going to be happy?
No, he's always very upset that he got woke up.
Okay, exactly.
He's always very upset and stomps around showing people how mad he is.
Of course.
Yeah.
And so this is attitude to its highest degree.
Yeah.
Okay, but, at the end of the day, they find out that Godzilla is not as bad as people thought he originally was.
No.
Okay? So what I'm saying is that does Godzilla have some point of noble character? Some type of, inner way of understanding that, listen, I'm not a bad guy after all, kind of thing.
You know what? I don't accept that from Godzilla. And here's why. I was watching him, right, on one of his mini trips through Tokyo. And there were some buildings out there, and they weren't even in his way. It wasn't like you just knocked down stuff that's in your way. You kind of went out of your way to tear some stuff up, man.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
Now, King Kong was a good guy.
Well, yes. Yes, he is.
Yes.
He is. I have talked about King Kong. I like King Kong, and I like the King Kong versus Godzilla movie. That was a really good movie.
I thought that was a good movie, too. I enjoyed that. Yeah, I enjoyed that.
But you have to understand, Godzilla is world-renowned.
Yeah. It was not even it shouldn't even been a close fight. The fact that, there's just no way. There's no way.
Right.
Yeah.
Godzilla is just world-renowned. He has been, Kong is very isolated. He's on Skull Island, right?
Yeah. He's local.
That's his place. That's his home. That's what he knows.
Yeah.
But in different environments, he didn't do so well.
No, I mean, look, in real life, gorillas don't do well in water. Everybody knows that.
Right, yeah, of course. But Godzilla is one that has fought, creatures from outer space. He has done things that Kong could not even touch.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so this is what I mean. So we got to be able to see, okay, this is the Shazam side that we know from Greek mythology, and then it's the Shazam side that we see from the Egyptian mythology.
Right.
When I first found out that this part of Shazam had a Greek mythology, you know how happy that I was to see that?
Yeah, I can imagine that one.
Okay. And so I said, oh, there is some hope.
Yeah, definitely.
And of course, we have our favorites there. So we have, the great wisdom of Zehuti.
Mm-hmm. Right.
His wisdom goes far beyond the galaxies.
Right.
It's far beyond Solomon.
Absolutely. Absolutely beyond a person, a human.
Yes.
Yeah.
He's far beyond that.
Yes.
And what I like about Black Adam is actually the master of magic.
Right. Yes. People don't ever talk about that part.
Yes. And so this is not so with the other side of Shazam.
Yeah.
So he has clear advantages.
Mm-hmm.
Not even Superman can touch that.
No.
Okay. So that shows you that the brother's got skills.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He's all world.
He's all right. Exactly.
Yeah, he's all world.
So let me ask you a question. How do you feel about the whole Shazam thing, and how do you see the movie next year? How do you feel about, I know we're talking about this, but how do you feel about the comic book and the movie? How do you feel about this whole Greek mythology aspect from this perspective?
I mean, it actually made Shazam interesting for me for the first time. I never really got into Shazam. Just his representation didn't click with me. I wasn't into DC. So now all of a sudden I'm like, oh, this is who this character is, and this is who his arch nemesis is, and it's a lot more interesting to me now, more than it's ever been before. So I'm completely open to it now. And even because it seemed like, I know they did a Shazam movie, and I was stunned at how much, not knowing the character, how how immature they had the representation be.
Yeah.
So that's what kind of drew me away from, like, I don't want to watch this bubblegum chewing kid. I mean, it just didn't feel, and I saw it, like, kind of in respect to, obviously he's a character in some other, Justice League pieces, some animation, and I'm like, well, okay, in the context of he's with this group of people, he kind of hides. His personality isn't as dominant. But a whole movie of that, I wasn't looking forward to that. No.
Well, I saw the first Shazam, the first one. I was not impressed.
Okay.
And I was a little worried, actually, when I first saw that. Because I've watched the animated series of Shazam, and it's completely different than me looking at this movie.
Okay.
The character in the animated series in the comic books does not match the character in the movie.
Okay, I was curious about that. Okay. Yeah.
So I'm just trying to figure out how did they come up with this one, because this Shazam that I see from the animated series is very masculine.
Right.
Okay. And, and all these other things about him. And then I see, him doing the things that he was doing in the movie and go, is this the same person? Is this the same?
Yeah. Because I do remember, like, as you said, I do, remember the Captain Marvel aspect, a long time ago. And, and took him as, okay, he's on par with, Superman or one, he's on par with that. There wasn't any doubt about that. But to see this to see this representation, and look, I like kids. I like who kids are. I was once a kid. But here's what I do not want. I don't want to see kids fight, because you guys don't know what you're doing, okay? When I saw the Hunger Games, I said, in what universe do we want to watch some 12-year-old girls fight over some food? That's not, right. I'm not, you would, every single subject in life, we're going to get the baddest of the bad to go do the fighting. We want prime time, 18-year-old or 25-year-old men, young men, if we're actually here to see the real get down kind of fight. So I was turned off on the Hunger Games immediately.
Yeah.
So,
exactly.
so to pit this immature representation of Shazam opposed by Black Adam is laughable, because when people talk about, even comic book stuff and the supposed fights and all these things, I'm like, well, yeah, add experience into the equation when you talk about two people fighting, right? My argument always haven't been, there's no way Tony Stark stays in a fight with Thor. It's ridiculous. This guy's been fighting high level his entire life, 1,000 years. This guy who's never had a serious fight until yesterday. So that juxtaposition of Black Adam and Shazam just seemed insane.
Well, yeah, exactly. I just see that, Shazam may get spanked in this one. Because Black Adam is clearly the experienced one here.
Exactly.
He's battlefield proven.
Right.
So that is not on this other level of Shazam that I saw.
Well,
go ahead.
Well, no, I was going to say, even when I was kind of reading his bio and it got to the part about Jehudi, and I'm like, well, if you call him Jehudi, there's no one you're not going to beat in a fight. Especially if you're even relatively equal strength. Obviously, I was thinking about the Superman representation. I'm like, well, there's no way, if you've got that kind of knowledge, because that matters and that's your counsel, there's no way you get beat by this. So that's just all I had to insert in that. That was my thought of Black Adam.
Well, Black Adam is, I mean, every single deity of the Egyptian mythology consults with Tahuti.
Right. Yes.
So this is the one that's the master of, which we're talking about wisdom at its ultimate highest. He's the one that articulate thought, articulate speech. Okay. What are you going to do with something like that?
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
It's ridiculous. Multiple different languages. I mean, he's been around longer than Superman.
Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. There's no way. There's no way. It's ridiculous.
There's no way. Okay, so I personally, when I'm watching Superman and Shazam go at it with Black Adam, I was laughing my head off.
Yeah.
And the reason why I was laughing, I said, if the Man of Steel cannot beat this guy,
Yeah.
and he's got to get some more help.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, we got to bring somebody else. Yeah.
Yeah, ganging up on him, you're pretty powerful.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm hoping to see what's going to happen with this. But from my perspective on the things that I have learned up until this point, I honestly, I'm pretty impressed.
Okay.
When it comes to Black Adam.
Okay.
And I've looked at all different trailers of different types of stuff that concerns him, and all of them to me pretty much has the same conclusion.
Okay.
Okay, so we'll see. I'm a big collector of comic books, and I'm always looking for stuff.
Yes.
But my thing with the Egyptian, deities, of course, you have laid them out perfectly. Every time you do it, it's just completely awesome.
Thank you.
And and it says a lot about who they are and what they are, and just their abilities.
Right.
Okay. Which speaks a lot about who they are even individually, even as they talk about Shazam. But Shazam is so powerful because they're talking about each and every individual one with their own ability.
Right.
Okay. Truly, if you just took one, their abilities can be, it's really lengthy.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? It's lengthy.
Yeah.
So that's my real take on it. I'm glad that I'm on the show. I really appreciate it. I really love talking about these things. I really love sharing what I've learned, and hopefully, like I said, we could be able to do more of these.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I think we've kind of opened up a new avenue, even within that world, kind of specifically. There's a lot of characters that what their representations have meant and what their representations have become. I mean, it is modern mythology, so we can talk Batman, we can talk all these characters, and still be, at heart who we are, because it's just, hey, the only difference between modern mythology and ancient mythology is that it's modern. It's just new people telling these stories, and we should hold them accountable to their mythology because they're changing stuff that we know is rooted in really, really ancient stories. And because of their magnitude, it's a shame that you put in a Google search for Thor, and if you do not add mythology into it, you are not going to get that Thor.
Exactly.
That's a shame that, and look, I love Marvel Comics. You guys got a lot of money from me over the years. I always love the comics, but you shouldn't have that ability to influence our culture that way. To change what people, that's my opinion of that.
Well, we need more of what we've been discussing as far as, Memnon is the greatest example.
Yeah. Yes.
I mean, you can't get any better than that.
Yeah.
The mermaid stories, the Mummy Wata, we talked about that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, we're going on down the line with these, with that, but this is a avenue, I believe, or a way of opening up the portal for a lot of different things like that.
Yeah. Well, because it's like they're still teaching you mythology. They're just teaching the mythology you want. They want you, for some reason, to believe that Imhotep was an evil character. That there is no bigger character assassination in history than Imhotep. It's even bigger than Allen Iverson and The Interview, right? The practice interview, which was a complete hatchet job because they wanted to put out a story about Allen Iverson. It was the craziest thing I've ever seen because I went back and I watched it, and I actually listened to what he had been saying throughout the interview, some very significant things that he said. And but that's not what they put out about him because that's not the story that they wanted to tell about Allen Iverson. They didn't want him expressing things about being human or having feelings and emotions and being genuinely hurt by something and that he has a daughter. They didn't want to put that out there. They wanted to put out this myth of him and the practice. We talking about practice? So it's interesting how our media influenced that, and they did it to Emotep, and I watched them do it to Emotep, and I'm like, that ain't right. So I have to stand up for Emotep.
Well, again, it's just the same thing they did with the wife of Amen.
Right. Oh yeah. Oh, they did her wrong. Oh my God. You know what? That was the hatchet job right there. That was the hatchet job. I did watch that, and I even liked the movie. I didn't know, I hadn't really got up on her like that. I kind of knew the name, so I watched the movie, and of course, the movie was all right. I mean, right. Decent actors. The effects are all on point. Well produced. But they took her, they changed her into somebody else. They absolutely did do her, and that's the thing. It's even more subtle. It's even more subtle. We're attacking characters that you don't even have a reason to question that she wouldn't have been that. Nobody would think that about her, but they just changed the mythology of a character, of a venerated deity, a netter.
When I watched that movie, I was, it's almost like, have you ever gone to a movie theater that has a surround sound? It has the what do you call that? The big, huge mega screen, and you put the glasses on.
Oh yeah, 3D screen, all that. Yeah.
I'm literally talking to the TV as I'm watching this movie.
Right. Right.
And I see this. Right. I'm so emotionally involved with this movie.
Right.
Right. I mean, it's a scary thought, that because of this thing, but you see what I'm talking about? This, like, oh my, are you serious right now?
Yeah, it's not by accident. That's what's scary. It's such a consistent thing that it's not by accident. They're intentionally feeding you stuff about certain cultures for a reason. It's clearly there's a reason for it. Clearly there's some advantage that they don't want you to know about, and that's why they change that. Tell you that mythology's not you. They change that mythology. They make the figures evil. They don't want us to know or have common knowledge of who these figures represented and where they came from.
Yeah, exactly. That was my whole thing with that. I mean, this is the wife of Amen.
Yeah.
Are you serious right now?
Mm-hmm.
And so, I'm glad we brought that up, because I wanted to know what your thought was about that.
Yeah, no, I'm all about it. We'll talk offline about how we'll set up the next one, but there's some stuff we definitely got to circle back to just based off of this conversation of some other representations of mythology. Unfortunately, I have to fight against Hollywood. Unfortunately, I haven't wanted to get into Hollywood because I'm like, okay, you've given me some good, but I can't continue to watch Hollywood do this stuff and be unchecked. So that's my fight is against Hollywood now. It's me versus Hollywood.
Well, excellent, man. I am great. Like I said, it's just been a pleasure.
Thank you.
I'm really, and I really enjoyed this. And I'm looking forward more to what Black Adam's going to do, and we'll definitely be in touch to see how this unfolds.
Okay, man. Good talking to you, man. We will talk soon, my brother.
Hey, thank you very much.
All right, bye. Wow, so that was my man, and we really got into some very, very deep modern mythology once again. And like I said, I'm back on the whole me versus Hollywood thing. I didn't want this fight. Hollywood keeps bringing it to me. I'm just a guy who likes reading books and going to the movies, and Hollywood keeps putting nonsense in front of my face and miseducating all my friends out there. All you guys who love mythology stories, and Hollywood is doing this because they don't want us to know the truth. Why? I don't know. I don't know what's wrong with Hollywood. But you know what? You and me and Tennis, we're all going to find out together. So we're in this together. Me versus Hollywood, us versus Hollywood. Please like and subscribe. If you are interested in talking about any of the figures that we mentioned here, we definitely have videos about most of them, and we'll be adding more as our library grows. But as always, thank you for support here at Nine World Chronicles. I will be back very soon with more mythology for you.